Oh my gosh. Hey guys, how you doing? All right. We are back again. We are continuing on our reading, the second reading of the Book of the Horned One, A Gate of Pan Magic. I was considering whether I should do a video of me reading, or if you guys just want to see my face when I'm reading, we're just going to do a video of my face. And then we'll see if I eventually end up just doing voice things or whatever. But we're continuing on. We're on page 7. And we are in the chapter or the portion of the book called Knowledge. This is written by Aeon 131. What is Pan Magic? The Pan Magic tradition, as outlined in this book, is a modern revival of the earliest spirit traditions as practiced by prehistoric horned shamans. It is found written down in cave painting and carved in megalithic shrines, and survives in stories of man-beast transformations. Myths of spiritual human connections with animals and forests, and in the wild revels, songs, dances, and festivals, where the line between rational and irrational is erased. The origin of this system is the way of the Horned One, a half-human, half-animal symbol of the cosmic evolutionary force, which is the root of our very being. The nameless current of magical energy and possibilities is manifested again in the world today in many wondrous ways, and being presented in this form to help any person who wishes to expand his or her experience to manifest more joy. Pan Magic, while here presented in some ways as rooted in the basis of Western occult or magical tradition, is outside and beyond the limitations of this lineage. The forces invoked and used in Pan Magic are not rational and not based on specific ancient languages or number systems, and are in fact universal, beyond words, and thus accessible to all regardless of initiation or scholarship. The core of both theory and practice of Pan Magic lies in our deep connections with the animal within, the evolutionary progression that we embody, and in the wordless and unspoken all-powerful connection we have with nature, but which sadly we have mostly lost. This is found within the genetic code of DNA patterns that contain all our previous evolutionary stages. The goal of Pan Magic is to remember, reestablish, and renew the primal connection between modern egocentric intellectual humanity and the primal core within each of us. This book evolved from my encounters with the Pan Force over a 32-year period of time. These encounters generated both intuitive wisdom, I believe, and actual transmitted writings, the chief of which the book of Gate, called Pan, formed the theoretical and spiritual backbone of this book. The liber and commentary are in and at the center of this book. This book also includes key rites and techniques from this Pan current of magical power that anyone can use to reconnect with the primal powers within and without, as embodied in the icon of the horned and hooved goddess. Throughout the text called the Horned One or Pan, this horned god, goddess, has been with us from the very beginning. Called in other cultures Panku, Hern, Cernunnos, Fanus, Satyr, Cocopelia, An, Pashupati, Khnum, Baphomet, Hathor, Certes, Io, and so on, often representing sexuality, primal animal consciousness, and pre-consciousness. The Horned One represents the earliest connections we have with the universe as nature. Pan is the manifested axis and manifestation of the endless sphere of nature, the Great Mother. By reconnecting with this, the world opens up to us as we cast off the fears, limitations, and neuroses that civilization has grafted upon us. Pan reminds us that real change can occur that real changes can always occur in our lives right now via play, joy, and laughter. The book is divided into 3 sections, the first being the theory of the primal nameless tradition, or horned one cult, a brief survey of what it is, and how it originated in the prehistoric past, and how it has been present through every age or aeon of humanity. The second section expounds the words behind and embodying pan magic. The Book of Gate is offered and explained as it manifests and puts together pieces of the deep important puzzle that is the pan current, also called nameless aeon. The third section explains the practice of connecting with and using pan magic in a very real and powerful ways. Key techniques, images, sigils, words of power, as well as a body of full rituals are given to each reader so that you might be able to initiate him or herself in the pan current of magical energy and become deeply involved with the system as he or she wishes. Of course, all words are meaningless. In the wake of the touch of pan, so the adept may pick and choose amongst the practices or ignore the rites and practices completely. Once someone connected with the pan current directly, they have taken the first step in becoming the satyr. The wildness of pan will direct them on the right path. Very real changes will occur when one practices pan magic, mental, physical, and emotional changes. The end result is more freedom in all of these areas, more openness, and more sheer joy through the facing of primal fears and limitations and of overcoming them. But there is also more responsibility, and darkness balances the light. This path is a radical one, helping one connect with the most deeply embedded primal passions, feelings, urges, and archetypes as it does. 30 years of treading this path has brought great joy, but also great traumatic shifts to my poor little ego. Be forewarned. The great god Pan epitomizes complete freedom and joy, but also makes humans face their deepest instincts and fears, and then work through them, and then with them. A radical independence is called forth. You will be dancing to pipes few others hear. For those with the will to break out of the false prison of civilized barriers and find their path of bliss through the energies of nature as play, this book will offer much. Dance well. To understand this book, we all create our own realities. Quantum physics and string theory have liberated us from the restrictive realities of walls. Restrictive realities, walls of the restrictive reality walls of others. As Robert Anton Wilson said, the grid superimposed upon the window we look through determines what we perceive as reality. That limiting grid is created by our culture, society, parents, teachers, and everything that informs our environment as we grow up. One person sees a rainbow and is touched by a vision of the goddess Iris. Another sees a refraction of sunlight through rain drips, and the third sees an omen from an angel. Without delving into the neurology and phenomenology, the short of it is the Buddhists have it right. All is illusion. All is transitory. No two people see or experience the same things, and what you perceive and how you interpret it is extremely variable, determined mostly on the programs you are running at the time. On top of that, perception changes and shapes all. Thus, this book on pan magic is a way of understanding, dealing with, and utilizing the nameless current of magical energy that pervades existence, is very precariously teetering upon the paradigm. Yet every spiritual or philosophical system in the world is like this. Buy-in and utility happens when people see enough of themselves in it so that, or parts of it, become useful and maybe even vital for them. It is good at this point to remember that another name for pan is chaos. So how can we be surprised? That being said, this book to have that being said, for this book to have any meaning, some magical mythology is important to note. This woven paradigm really forms the underlying basis of this system and is not referenced directly very much throughout the book, yet infuses the text and therefore needs to be addressed. These then are magical strains that inform pan magic. Animism, a general animistic belief that all things are alive. Matter becomes energy and energy becomes matter, but neither can be destroyed, and there is life in all things. I am merely a fairly loose, vibrating construct of shimmering atoms and particles, as is everything else. In Shinto tradition, which I quite like, all things have a kami or spirit. Looked at in this way, the entire world around us is living energy, and such we are continually part of the larger, integrated living biosphere we call nature. 2. Polytheism, paganism. One can further work with energies of nature through the basic archetypes or gods, goddesses that personify those natural forces. The most primal and fundamental archetypes from which all others spring are great positive and great negative, called yin yang, Shiva Shakti, God and Goddess, and so on. All are based, all are things, of course. The biological all are based, as are all things, of course, on the biological model. From this prime binary spring the multitude of gods, goddesses, and archetypes, the 10,000 things, the masks or specific names of these archetypes, gods, goddesses, and even their identified sex change from culture to culture. But as Jung pointed out, they are integral components for our group unconscious mind. Whether seen as psychological or magical exercise, as above, so below, as within, so without, dealing with these masks on an inner or outer level helps us achieve shifts in reality that are beneficial or useful or illuminating. And that is the main concern. This is why, as Joseph Campbell once said, polytheism makes the most sense as a worldview. 3. Magic. All of this presupposes the idea that human being is a nexus of sorts between an inner and outer, that we are able to remove ourselves from our primal animal self and think about these processes and so pick and choose our reality frames as opposed to simply being like any tree or monkey. In this distance, this separation, this fall from grace, lets us think about and thus choose to manipulate our reality, change, alter programs. In line with that has been called the true will, i.e., the purpose for our existence, our path or way. This is illustrated nicely in the I Ching. Every trigram has 3 lines. The top line is heaven or yang, the bottom line is earth or yin, and the central line is mankind, personification of Te, or the true path of will. All operate in harmony, and energy continuum called Tao. In this book, Tao is called or manifests as Pan, all. Letting all these things be one in harmony with no conscious thought is the way of the mystic, the path of Zen, the way of Taoism. Doing this in an active and conscious manner is called magic, the art of causing change in conformity with will or awareness. Spare, however, said it better. Magic is the art of attracting without asking. In Pan magic, this is called play. The progression of the aeons. This whole paradigm moves through time from the beginning of Earth as a lifeless, glowing ball to the present. But time, like anything else, is conceptual framework, and according to physicists, is moving. Did I say 4? I think I did. The progression of the aeons. This whole paradigm moves through time from the beginning of Earth as a lifeless glowing ball to the present. But time, like anything else, is a conceptual framework, and according to physicists, is moving in at least two directions at the same time. If every moment of time is occurring simultaneously, that is what some physicists think, and people say I sound weird, then any perception we have of time, evolution, and spiritual progression is simply another paradigm within which to work, but maybe something we shouldn't necessarily take too seriously as real. I'm just saying, thus the mythic history paradigm of time reflected in similar frameworks in other cultures is the idea of ages or aeons that have particular meaning and qualities. In general, the magical progression of aeons, a bit of salt here, follows the pattern of magical paradigm I am working with. Keep in mind the aeons can be seen as time periods, as archetypal forces within us now, masks we might wear, and states of being. All at the same time, there is a short description of the aeons as they were used in this book. A nameless aeon, time period, from the creation of Earth until mankind begins. Use language as a fully formed, sophisticated communication. Archetypal force, the power of all spirit, Pan and all horned masks and other primal wilderness forces, undifferentiated sexual force, identified in traditional magic as Pan or chaos, by other names such as Zane or Bes. The Aeon of the Mother, time period, the formation of prehistoric hunter-gathering cultures into the development of agriculture, dominated and somewhat by matriarchal organization of tribal units and clans. Archetypal force, the Great Mother, all earth, heaven goddess, yin, all goddesses of nature. The explicitly feminine force, identified in traditional magic as Nuit or Isis. The Aeon of the Father, time period, from the beginning of prehistoric city centers, really manifesting with the beginning of written history, hierarchical organization, the formulation of religions, political structures, and organization of states marked by a real shift to patriarchal paradigm, continued in the manifestation of science, industry, and the modern Enlightenment paradigm. Archetypal force is the great Godfather, all heaven gods, Yang, all explicitly male gods of nature, identified in traditional magic as Hadit or Osiris. The Aeon of the Sun, time period roughly now, marked by the breaking away from old hierarchies, development of advanced high technology, the breaking down of rigid ideologies, political structures, patriarchal constructs in male-dominated culture, religion and belief systems, new, wild, renewing. Archetypal force, the child, all childish gods, and archetypal of an act of nature, yin or yang. Nominally male androgyny, archetypal force, new and explosive, identified in traditional magic as Horus, the child. The Aeon of the Daughter, the future, a transcendent age of rebalancing, renewing, and rebirthing new concepts, ideas, cultural norms, organizational paradigms, and lifestyles. We see some hints of the possibilities of this future age by watching the social, political, and technological innovations and shifts consciousness that we are even now beginning. Archetypal force, the other child, exclamation point in parentheses. All future-leaning childish gods and archetypes of balancing nature. A new human form, normally female, gender, archetypal force, and new evolutionary, identified in traditional magic as Ma'at or Hurumachis. The Aeon of far future, essence, beyond knowing with the limited wetware brains we have available now. It may be a helix up revision of the nameless Aeon. Who can say? Not I. The archetypal force, alien to us, beyond real conception at this time. An archetypal force beyond gender, wholly transformative and multidimensional, not identified in traditional magic. I think we're going to stop there for now. I might do another reading in a little bit. Just do a couple pages. I have to get to work now, so I got to go get my makeup on and get ready to go to work. I hope you guys like that. The Book of the Horned One. When I look at the cover of this, it reminds me of the South Node and then the North Node, and I believe they make a comment about like the arrow. So I'm not really sure what that means. If it's going to be bringing these together, a way of catching or shooting the North and South Node, the karmic pots, and bringing them together, unifying them. Hope you guys liked it. I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. If you guys like this book, put in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys like this. We're going to be taking a break from tarot readings, I think, for a little bit. I'm not getting much from them. So I have a lot of books I would like to read. Not even just this one. I have multiple books I would like to read. I just always get so stuck like in tarot cards. I don't know. We can pull out like a single card. I still would like to do like the creation, like I still would like to be able to do like my tarot card. Let's see. I can pull a tarot card for right now. The Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands. Oops. The Eight of Wands. According to Aleister Crowley, the Eight of Wands, the three remaining cards of the suit belong to Sagittarius, which represents the subtizing of the fiery energy, and Mercury rules the card, thus bringing down from Hokmah the message of the original will. The card also refers to Hod's splendor in the suit of fire, whence it refers to the phenomena of speech, light, and electricity. The pictorial representation of the card shows light wands turned into physical, electrical rays, sustaining or even constituting matter by their vibrating energy. Above this restored universe shines the rainbow, the division of pure light, which, with maxima into the 7 colors of the spectrum, which exhibit interplay and correlation. This card, therefore, represents the energy of high velocity, such as furnishes the master key to modern mathematical physics. It will be noted that there are no flames. They have all been taken up into the wands to turn them into rays. On the other hand, the electrical energy has created intelligible geometrical form. Swiftness. Bye, guys. I will see you all later, okay? We can do another reading for this book. Oh, my goodness. That reminds me of one of Ozzy Osbourne's live performances. I think it's obviously he probably did a whole set, but I think that the most popular song was his Iron Man performance with the rainbow. All right. Bye now.